Welcome back, Brian Calfano, along with our Ozarks First contributors, Nick Reed, who is also the KSGF 104.1 FM morning host. And it's a lot to get out. And Amy Blansit, who also is the head of the Drew Lewis Foundation and Fairbanks and
Missouri State.
Kind of run an entire quadrant of the city, it seems like. So
Zone 1, yeah.
Now, here's the deal. Governor Mike Parson, we talked about him last time we were together about the State of the State address. He is under a good degree of scrutiny and criticism, especially by those on the political left, and Nicole Galloway leading the charge by saying, like, you know what, Governor, there's something fishy here. 100,000 Missouri children are uninsured. Thousands per month have been kicked off the Medicaid rolls. What is going on here? Missouri #1 in this particular distinction. Of course, Medicaid expansion has been controversial for a long time, going back to the passage of the Affordable Care Act and President Obama's entire Obamacare structure, essentially relying on Medicaid expansion to help cover a lot of individuals. So I can kind of already tell where you two are going to come out on this. But it is a little weird, isn't it, Nick, that Missouri is throwing folks off the rolls at rates higher than other states?
Well, it depends on why they're getting off the rolls. We seem to approach this with the assumption that no one involved in a government program's life ever improves to where they don't have to be on it again. The assumption is that, I guess maybe Governor Parson is sitting there with a list and just marking out, I don't want these kids to be on it any longer, when in fact you have situations as the economy is improving. I mean, this is what we should hope for.
The economy is improving, but Medicaid application rates, I believe, are up by
increasing
25%.
Yes.
Tony Messenger, no friend of the governor, of course, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported that.
Or common sense.
That was you saying that. I'm pointing out we have an increase, though, in these applications for Medicaid. So the economy's better, but...
The economy is better for whom?
Average people.
I feel like I'm an average person. I'm a single mom, and not much has changed for me. As a single income earner, I'm still paycheck to paycheck. I still have to watch everything. And so when we're talking about the economy being great, I'm like, where? Where is it great for me? And if I have a PhD and work at the university and I'm still struggling, I'm not seeing benefits that people are talking about. You know, I'm not too far from qualifying, actually, for Medicaid being a single income earner. So I think that's the bigger concern, is when we're talking about 25% of people are applying, they're not applying because they got a raise, they're applying because they qualify, right? These aren't random people just saying, well, maybe I can get on government insurance. And so I think that's the other part that's not being discussed, is the economy is great for those who are heavily invested in the market. For the majority of Missourians, you know, we're talking about 200,000 people that are children that are uninsured. So 100 have added, but there's already almost 200,000. And so with that, the economy is not good for everyone. And even with the raises that are occurring, they still are not meeting to what it takes for livable wages. So individuals who are even getting raises still qualify for Medicaid, and we're not having that conversation.
Nick, what's the matter with, like with public education, guaranteeing every child till they're 18 access to health care?
Well, the problem is we are taking the least effective and efficient machinery to do it, and that's the government. I mean, fact of the matter is, we can pump more government, more guarantees, but people are going to get lesser quality care. And that's what we're seeing. We are far removed from the days where, you know, doctors were competing for patients and they would come to your home and, you know, you pull the money out of, you know, your pocketbook and pay them. Once the government began getting involved, the rate of inflation started tripling and quadrupling. And prior to that, it stayed the rate of inflation as everything else did in our economy. But once government gets involved, I know we...
Like with student loans.
Or just anything, whether it's medicine, whether it's education. I mean, you see it, and it continues to get worse. And then, unfortunately, the answer is, well, we need more of that. We need to do more of that. And it's security. People like somebody to tell them in government, don't worry, I'll take care of it for
But the Democrats are going to go and parade out a lot of the worst-case scenario anecdotes, and they're not necessarily wrong in doing that. These are real people who are having trouble, and they may reflect the examples of folks in a lot of rural counties in Missouri without hospital access and all kinds of things. So what is the private sector sort of view of how you go about solving the problem, as opposed to just saying, yeah, guys, good luck. 100,000 of you are out there, and Godspeed. I mean, what else is there besides government stepping in with Medicaid?
Well, I would say, and it still even does happen to a degree. I know there's like Sisters of Mercy. There's all these organizations that's what they do. Churches and other, even just GoFundMe pages. I mean, you see all the time on Facebook, my friend has surgery and their deductible won't cover this, or maybe they don't have insurance. And people come together, and they do. I mean, study after study has shown in America we are by far the most generous with our time and with our money in terms
Not
of
our
helping other
taxes
people.
or government assistance.
But it's much more effective and
Correct.
efficient. You know, a dollar that is raised and donated in the private sector. You hear all the time, Mike, with Convoy of Hope, where they talk about $1, they can make it into $7. I don't know if those are the exact
Return on
numbers.
investments.
Right. Well, with the government, it's the other way around. $7 it ends up becoming $1. And so, as a person who, number one, recognizes that you're never going to have ever this absolute perfect system where no one has any complaints, no one gets shortchanged. Once you acknowledge that, then you have to look at which system is the one in which people have the greatest chance of being taken care of in the best way possible.
So, Amy, is the answer then to just have Parson give you the money and have you and folks like you at the local level run this sort of medical coverage for folks, or what?
I mean, that is one thing, is to say, how do we take a massive system and change it into community-driven initiatives? But as Nick had mentioned, with the costs continuing to escalate, even if we're trying to solve it at a local level, I'm still getting charged, a great amount. Now, as you did also mention, that there are church organizations that create group buying power. And so that's one thing looking at as well. Individuals who are not on insurance through government, can we create these collective systems locally? Even our own chamber. If you're a small business and you don't have enough employees in order to get the benefits, you can join the chamber and join their benefits. So there are other methods. The problem is very few of them are for individuals of low income. So it still is the buying power, and if you're low income, you don't have social capital to create the buying power of these kind of subgroups that could occur.
Right.
So definitely a possibility, it's just not happening.
We will circle back on this. I'm going to have us sit down and come up with plans. And we'll
Okay.
present them.
Solutions.
I'll just
Okay.
look I'll have you highlight the word government, and if it's in there, then I'll
Just we'll
push
remove
yeah.
it, right.
Nick, Reed, and Amy Blansit. We'll be back after this.